Yellowstone Supervolcano magma is rising. Scientists warn an eruption would devastate the planet. Authored by Michael Schneider via the Economic Collapse blog on Zero Hedge by Tyler Durden. Could it be possible that a full-blown eruption of Yellowstone supervolcano is not too far away? All over the world, seismic activity has been increasing in recent years, and this process seems to have accelerated during the early days of 2019. Particularly, quite a few once dormant volcanoes are springing back to life again. We've even had the Kosovo volcanic field, which was pretty much dormant, classified as moderate activity by USGS, giving us two very mega kicks on July 4th and 5th. And many people believe that these are tectonic earthquakes and that they will somehow trigger a lot of activity in that area. We know that also the Ridgecrest quakes 20 years ago, there was another one of 7.1 magnitude that caused a quake swarm to take place in Yellowstone supervolcano a couple of weeks later. We'll have to see what effect that has on Yellowstone again this time. Now, Yellowstone has never been dormant, but there have been new signs of life over the past few months. Entirely new geysers have sprung out of the ground. Steamboat Geyser has been the most active. That has been in decades, and some geysers have even been shooting debris and rocks into the sky. And now we're being told that a 465-mile-long piece of molten rock is rising directly under Yellowstone. Scientists are closely monitoring a 465-mile-long piece of molten rock rising below the Yellowstone caldera. This is what a bombshell documentary has revealed. The supervolcano, located in Yellowstone National Park, has erupted 3 times in history: 2.1 million years ago, 1.2 million years ago, and 640,000 years ago, and another 80 small eruptions since then. Volcanoes typically blow when molten rock, known as magma, rises to the surface following the Earth's mantle melting due to tectonic plates shifting. But geologists have revealed how Yellowstone's magma chamber, which sits on top of the magma plume, is slowly rising each year. And hopefully nothing major will happen at Yellowstone for a very long time. However, experts assure us that another full-blown eruption will take place one day, and when it does, it could potentially create another global volcanic winter. That would make growing crops almost impossible and ultimately cause horrific global famines. And the following quote now comes from Dr. Christopher Kilburn, quote, "As a result of which the amount of sunlight reaching the surface of the earth drops, and as a consequence of that, it will trigger what is called a volcanic winter, in that the temperatures never get a chance to recover. So you go through winter, the ash veil prevents the sun from warming up the earth seasonally, so you just get continued winters, which might trigger, ultimately, extensive ice coverage," end quote. If Yellowstone were to erupt today, none of our lives would ever be the same again from that moment on, of course. We're talking about a super eruption, a disaster that is on a scale that most of us could not even imagine, and it would instantly render most of the country completely uninhabitable. The following is an extended excerpt from one of my previous articles about Yellowstone. I would like to try to describe for you what a full-blown eruption of the Yellowstone supervolcano would mean for this country. Hundreds of cubic miles of ash, rock, and lava would be blasted into the atmosphere, and this would likely plunge much of the northern hemisphere into several days of complete darkness. Virtually everything within 100 miles of Yellowstone would be immediately killed, but a much more cruel fate would befall those that live in major cities outside of the immediate blast zone, such as Salt Lake City and Denver. Hot volcanic ash, rock, and dust would rain down on those cities literally for weeks. In the end, it would be extremely difficult for anyone living in those communities to survive. In fact, it's been estimated that 90% of all people living within 600 miles of Yellowstone would be killed. Experts project that such an eruption would dump a layer of volcanic ash that is at least 10 feet deep, up to 1,000 miles away, and approximately 2/3 of the United States would suddenly become uninhabitable. The volcanic ash would severely contaminate most of our water supplies, and growing food in the middle of the country would become next to impossible. In other words, it would be the end of our country as we know it today. The rest of the planet, and this would especially be true for the northern hemisphere, would experience what is known as a nuclear winter, quote unquote, a volcanic winter. An extreme period of global cooling would take place, and temperatures around the world would fall by up to 20 degrees. Crops would fail all over the planet, and severe famine would sweep the globe. And in the end, billions could die. Scientists are constantly monitoring Yellowstone for potential signs of an eruption, but the truth is that a major disaster of this magnitude would probably come with little or no warning. It's undeniable that in recent months there have been signs of increasing activity at Yellowstone. That does not mean that an eruption is imminent, but without a doubt it should be a cause for concern. This is especially true considering all of the shaking that we're seeing elsewhere around the globe. Just within the past few days, we've seen a magnitude 4.1 hit California, while we've also seen the 6.4 to 7.1 in Ridgecrest, and quakes there are still going on. Magnitude 5s and plus in Anchorage. All the Ring of Fire is moving, shaking, and erupting. Residents took to earthquake monitoring site EMSC to share experiences. One said long and big, significant anxiety spike concerning Anchorage, Alaska quakes. We are not even in the middle of, well, basically we're just past the middle of the year. There have already been more than 100 significant earthquakes in Alaska so far this year, and that's not normal. Our planet appears to be going through some major changes, and many believe that all of this seismic activity is an indication that things are about to become quite apocalyptic. I'm personally of the opinion that we are going to continue to see a rise in the number of earthquakes, and that we are going to continue to see a rise in the number of volcanic eruptions as well. And I've said this before, the shell of our planet is cracked, and we are just floating on the pieces. And now those pieces appear to be getting increasingly unstable, and that is going to affect us in ways that most people cannot even imagine right now. All right, we're still going through and walking through, or patiently seeing what's happening with California. Also, we're seeing some kind of weird, mysterious going on with Kilauea in Hawaii, the water in the Halemaumau crater, which means that if that, because of the fact that it's deforming and rising, if that keeps on going like that, it could be heading to another eruption there. And also we're heading into the solar minimum, which causes more earthquakes to take place and more volcanic eruptions to take place. I'll leave links below for you for this on Zero Hedge.